The Ancients, from Folk Tales of Wales by Irwin Jones. Or Irwin Jones, I still don't know. "Where will I get me a wife?" called the eagle, as he clung to a rugged crag on the Stackpole Rock in Pembroke. Stackpole Rock is in between Tenby and Milford Haven, in the most westerly county of Pembrokeshire. Anyway, back to it. "Where will I get me a wife?" called the eagle. His sharp eyes looked far out to sea, where a dolphin frolicked in the great waves. But the eagle paid no heed to the dolphin. "Alack and alas, my mate has died," he moaned to the wind that beat and blustered round his lonely perch. "Who is worthy to replace her? I am the king of the birds. Where will I get me a wife?" "Marry the owl," answered the southwest wind. "Marry the owl who lives in the little dell in the valley of the Taff." The eagle blinked his eyes and thought, "You advise me well, O southwest wind. But as I am king of the birds, it were well that I make inquiries about the owl. Is she worthy to be queen? Is she old and is she good? Is she old and is she good?" So that sounds like a good morals there, owl. The southwest wind did not stay to speak further to the lordly eagle, but sped away towards the Preseli hills, bearing rain clouds to quench the thirst of the parched lands. The eagle said, "I will go to the park lands of Menevia. I will ask my friend the deer all about the owl of the Taff." Soaring high into the sky, he glided down again, slowly and gracefully. He then summoned the deer to a lonely nook, where he bade him tell all about Mistress Owl. The deer, rubbing his antlers against the bark of an old Welsh oak, said, "Behold this old oak, O king of the birds. I am old, so old that I can remember this oak when it was only an acorn on the very old oak yonder. 700 years it has taken this oak to grow into a tree. For 700 years it has flowered in its glory. For 700 years it has been dying. So old is it, O king, that I advise you to ask the oak the age of Mistress Owl of the Taff." The eagle turned to the oak and asked his question. The oak rustled its leaves nervously when addressed by the king of the birds, but answered clearly, "O king, I have known Mistress Owl many hundreds of years, so many hundreds that I lose count of them. Mistress Owl was old when first I knew her. I am old, it is true, but my friend the salmon of Roch is older than I. He may help you. So, sire, and ask him the age of Mistress Owl." The eagle flew to Roch and asked his question. The salmon basked in a sunny pool and was quite indifferent to the eagle's impatience. Yet he answered straightforwardly, saying, "Go to the blackbird of Rudbaxton. He is older than I. He will know the age of Mistress Owl. Go ask him." The blackbird stopped whistling his merry tune when he saw the eagle approach. He hid in fear in the shadow of a great flint. "Have no fear, happy warbler," called the eagle. "I come but to ask the age of Mistress Owl of the Taff." The blackbird, ruffling his feathers, forgot his nervousness. "O mighty king," he whistled, "you see this old flint that casts its shadow on the land? I can remember it when it was far greater. In my childhood it was a high and rugged mountain. Each night before I go to rest I have rubbed my beak upon it. Thus has the towering mountain become but a great rock. Know then that I am old, very old, but even I cannot remember Mistress Owl, but as she is today." The eagle's face puckered in thought. The blackbird was sorry for him. "I have a friend who is far older than I, O king. If you will fly to the toad of Freystrop, he may be able to tell you something about Mistress Owl." Toad of Freystrop. Eagle bowed his thanks and flew to Freystrop. The toad was resting in a muddy pool, but he hopped onto a tuft of heather and answered the eagle. "Sire, I eat the dust to be sure, yet I do not eat enough to satisfy my hunger. I eat the dust to be sure, yet I do not eat enough to satisfy my hunger. Around the bog you see great hills. I can remember this land a great plain. I am old, very old, very old. You can reckon at my age when I tell you that it is I who have eaten away the land between the great hills of the Preseli range. Yet, old as I am, I can only remember Mistress Owl as a very old woman screaming, "Toot, toot, toot," just as she does today. The eagle thanked the toad. He flew straight away to the Taff Valley. I think this bird is too old for you, and he was satisfied now that Mistress Owl came of a good family, and that she was old, very old. The eagle and Mistress Owl were married. The wedding guests were the deer of Menevia, the salmon of Roch, the blackbird of Redbaxton, and the toad of Freystrop. All old, very old, but the happy couple loved them all the more because of that. What the fuck was that about? What should I take away from this? Eagle's lost his wife. He's been, he had a wife, she died, I don't know how she died. My mate has died, he said, alack and alas. So yeah, he's heartbroken. He needs to move on, I respect that. Move on. I guess he doesn't want, wants an older woman, because, I guess he lost one wife. I know some guys, go for like a midlife crisis, someone a younger lady. I like this guy, I want someone old and good. Someone, that can be his equal. And then he just goes on this mad journey and meets so many old people. I guess it's a metaphor for just nature being around. I guess how man is relatively new. I guess that the eagle is just supposed to represent us, what they call king of the birds. Yeah, and he asks around. Pretty simple story. I guess, yeah, just testing true love and pursuing it, travelling around for it, asking people, stalking, stalk. So finding someone you like, finding out as much information about them behind their back and stalking them. That's what I'm taught here, and it pays off, it turns out. Yeah, it's got a bit of a royalist kind of feel about it. He wants to know their bloodline, which is a bit of shit. Then again, you don't want to be... Good to be cautious, I guess. Anyway, that was that one. And another thing, if you have any questions, ask the wind. That's another thing to take from this, If you are heartbroken, if you're forlorn, if you've recently lost a partner, ask the wind. I'm not saying that in a heartless way. I mean it. I guess it means just meditate on it, get away, break off from things, go to the coastline, and just ask the wind and ask yourself, what's next? I doubt the wind will whisper back the name and address like they did on the story, but don't ignore the things, Reach out, talk to people, Don't hide away, it's too easy, especially when you feel that blue. Yeah, it reminds me of when I took... I had a friend that broke up. Well, she's back with him now, but she thought she'd broken up with her fella, and I drove her down to like Tenby. Actually, pretty much near the same place now. I think about it. But yeah, the coastline, because I believe when you feel really shit, it is good to get like some fresh sea air, no matter what the weather is like. Just blow all that shit away and just look into the abyss and try not to walk into the sea or like walk off a cliff, not get suicidal, but like take someone with you, have someone drive you there, or you drive someone there, you feeling that they're in a rough patch. It's good. I think the sea, it has its cleansing property. When your mind is full of shit, it can wash it away, and so that does help. And I can see the the eagle has taken this advice on board. It does work, trust me. It might not take one go, it might take a couple of weeks. But yeah, it does have that cleansing property, and yeah. And another thing about the story, I think it does big up age. It does. Often in our culture, like youth is quite idolized and stuff. Oh, it's celebrated, and that does not celebrate youth in this. I can't. Anyway, I don't know if the story's any good. I don't really like it that well. Just saying that. I'm just sharing you stories as well. I'm trying to learn more about folklore, like all of us. I mean, like very few of us.